if you want to be a billionaire, you have to get an idea, execute it, and you find it is liked on the global scale.
Asimwe Timothy is a visionary engineer and entrepreneur with a passion for innovation. He has established himself as a leading expert in engineering and entrepreneurship for a decade now. He has worked on various projects like schools, hospitals, hotels, and many more, and has developed his company from zero to take off in just 7 years. He is a business dynamo. Imagine you are in the year 2025 and you're still putting on backcloth. This is you trying to start a business the conventional way, whereby you want to have a well-defined system process. You want to have a well-known client base, whereby you want to know and predict your revenue stream. Today, we want to know and we want to learn how we can start a business in 2025 with limited or no capital. We are back again. This is the Engineers Corner podcast, where we do business, finance, and engineering. So today we are back again with our engineer, our known engineer. He's an engineer. He has been in the field for over 10 years. He's a businessman as well. He has great experience. Actually, he mentored me in business. So today we are back with our engineer, and we would want to know and learn how he started his business from 0 to 100. Engineer.
Once again, my name is Timothy Asimwe. I'm a civil engineer by profession, turned into an entrepreneur. And I believe that for you to achieve your dream, you must excel in business and do something great. I've done so many businesses from 0 to 75 and sustained them for over 10 years. You know, some collapse even before they get their first year birthday. But at least I've sustained businesses from consulting, invested in different businesses. Now I'm building a school and everything. But I've gained a lot of experience that I'm willing to share some of the steps and things that I've learned in this journey of over 10 years building businesses and sustaining them.
Yes, engineer, you find it that in Uganda, at least every year, 30% of Ugandans start off businesses. But you find along the way, most of these businesses, they don't go to the takeoff stage. What did you do, or what have you done? Because I was there when you're starting up some business, and you told me that I'm starting this business with zero income, with nothing, but within a few months, this business will be making 5K per month. And indeed, yeah, I've witnessed that, I've seen it. So what tools did you have? What knowledge did you have for you to do that?
Yeah, you see, starting a business, actually, it's very hard. That is why most people who attempt to start businesses later either fail or they give up or they don't succeed. I usually compare starting a business like a child. You must have an idea. That's one. Then that idea, I start with what I call idea generation. Many people have got ideas. They have got that excitement. They have got that expression. He wants to do something great. But I believe that you must have many ideas on your table before you start a business. So you first have that thinking, what idea do I have? Then after, in idea generation, there are things you see about. I believe that the business you are going to start should be a business you are passionate about. You must love what you are doing. Yeah. Then you have to see, can I monetize what I love? Then you have to check another Venn diagram. You see, can the idea I've chosen out of the many I've got be monetized? So you see, you love something, then you see whether it can be monetized or it can bring in some income. Then again, you see if it is sorting a societal problem. So if I'm going to do any business, before I execute anything, in idea generation, I see those three aspects. I see the passion I have for the business, then I see how I can monetize it. Then I again see how or what problem am I solving in the society. So before even I go on, I start with idea generation and I see those. So that idea that is intersecting between my passion, what I love, then monetization, then again societal problem solving is the idea I vet to lead or to execute. So that is one of the things I start with, even before I start the idea or I start executing in business. So in all businesses I've started, like when I was mentoring or telling you, I told you that this is the problem we are solving, and you can see what is happening in the field. So we are seeing that, and I'll tell you that I love doing it, meaning I can work for a full year without being paid, but trying to execute it. Then I see that I can monetize. I'll start initially working for free, but with the time, I'm going to monetize it. So you have those three boxes intersecting each other, then you go with that idea so that you have a win in your business. So that is some of the things I start. I can call it the foundation of starting any business when I'm going to build a good idea. So that's one of the things I think I'm usually good at when I'm starting a business.
Wow. This is interesting because most of us, we think of starting a business, we think of capital as something that we should, something someone should be having in the early stages of starting a business. But now you are telling us that if you want to start a business, first of all, you must know what you want. You must have passion of what you're doing. Then that takes us to another question whereby some of us are professionals. We are in our professional fields. How can someone monetize or change his profession into a business? Because a profession is very different from a business.
Yes.
And you find in most cases a profession is employed. But how can someone now change his profession into a business?
Yes. Now, after you have got the business idea, of course, if you're a profession, you see, we are seeing on a passion, we are seeing on a problem in the society, and we are seeing how you can monetize it. Initially, we shall find that the first business you build, which I usually say from 0 to 100K USD, that is in Ugandan shillings, that could be 0 to 360 million. You must use your skills. Because initially you don't have capital. You don't have capital. What you have is your skills. Now, we usually say that if you're going to start a business and become successful, you actually must have skills that can help you out. What have you done in the past? So when you start, initially you don't have anything after campus, and now you have to acquire some skills. There are skills which are basic. For example, marketing, leadership, your past experiences. So if I've gone to any company and I've worked for it, like when I left my campus, I had to work for some consultancy firm and I got some skills. When you're going to start your business, it's going to be hard because everything is going to be done by you. You are going to be relying on your skills. You'll be at office, you are alone. For me, I used to do plans myself. I used to look for clients myself. I would do everything on my own because I had those skills. So the skills you gather from employment, or if you are not employed, you gather from training yourself, are the ones that are going to help you to start the first business. Because you are going to use those skills to start something. Then when you have a good idea, which is monetized, then there are things you have to know in business. For example, what type of business are you going to do? We have businesses that start from 0, then we have businesses that start from 1. So you have to know what are you going to do in the society. Are you going to do 0 to 1 or 1 to infinity? If you're doing 0 to 1, it means that you're going to have a new idea that has not been existing. Then you want to build it and innovate. Whereby it is a new idea that has never happened, implying that there's a lot you have to prove. Or if it is 1 to infinity, then it means an idea is existing, then you want to improve the idea which is existing to have a different way of doing it. So you find that a business from 0 to 1 is usually hard than if you are starting a business which is existing 1 to infinity, like food. everyone is selling food, but you come up with something special. You add some value, you add some products, you add packaging. We have seen it with CJ doing that. But the food industry has been there. So that is one to infinity. But now you're starting from zero. You're starting anything that has not been done. Possibly you are creating maybe like this innovator who was trying to create an electric car from radiations in Zimbabwe. That is 0 to 1. Yes. So it means that he has to prove to the society, have the backing of the engineering, market it to the society and get it. That one becomes a bit tight if you're starting any business. Because even people fear to fund those ones. But 1 to infinity, it could be easier for you to start and move on. So if I'm from campus, I would rely on my skills which I've acquired to run my first initial business and improve it.
So which in simple terms, you must have what we call an initial job whereby you're going to get money so as you fund your business.
Yes, that could be one way. If you want to do business, you must have many ways. One way is you could first work, acquire skills. Skills are more important than money because you discover that when you start a business, you need the skills first. Then you could also raise some capital to go and start the business. So that is one way. But you could jump that and you self-educate yourself. We have seen people teach themselves forex trading and they start extracting it from maybe YouTube and everything and starts earning money. Then he keeps on learning and he goes to that J curve of growth and he can run a business without any person helping him, without even being employed. So there are so many ways you can raise capital or you can get started in business. But one way could be being employed and you get skills and some capital.
Wow, that is interesting. So most of us are used to the conventional way of doing business whereby we think that for you to start a business, you must have a known customer base. But you've talked of a business that starts from zero to maybe infinity. And it is very hard now, like in Uganda here, we don't have such kind of businesses so far as yet. What would be the problem?
The business is basically in Uganda or Africa, where you start from zero to infinity. They involve in more of innovation. It means that you see a society problem and you are the first person to innovate the solution. And this one comes from individuals who are exceptional. We see people like Nikola Tesla. Those people discover the Newtons of that time. A person discovered the 3 laws of physics, the laws of motion and all those stuff. Those guys would think outside the box and they're like, these things exist. So they come and do experiments and they come and prove to the people. Some people were killed, some were done. But now you find that to do a business that has not existed and you make it thrive, it requires a lot of capital. It requires a lot of proof. That's why in Africa, people avoid them. You find that in Africa, the most common thing is people want business which are existing and he copies what you are doing and puts it there. And it's very common because it requires a lot of capital and proof and you must be good at engineering, you must be good at innovation and all that. So that's why you find that those businesses that start from zero to infinity are a bit rare and they are less funded apart from people who have been proven and you get that. So that's why they are not common in Africa, I can say that. But 1 to infinity, there are so many. So many.
What advice would you give to a 20-year-old youth today who wants to start a business and he is just there in his bed looking at the ceiling, just thinking about it? Can I do it? Can I start?
A 20-year wyouth, like I usually have them at my office who come, the advice I would give him that we are in one of the best time in our life where self-education is open and free. Like you can learn any skill online now as I talk. If you open YouTube and you want to learn Forex, it is open. You can learn anything from there. If you want to learn how to start any business, there are so many videos there. If you want to learn how to maybe do any skill, copywriting, something's there. If you want to learn how to do editing, something's there. So there's a lot of things a 20-year-old can do as of now. So the advice I will usually give them is, you are still young at 20 years. Focus on building a certain skill in a certain direction. You first look for a skill that can scale and be monetized, then give it time and focus on it day in, day out. Do self-education, because most skills now are available on that are applicable. They are not taught in school. You know, at the university, you find they just teach you basic computer, but you can learn now forex trading. You can learn coding. I've seen one of my friends who learned coding and has done one of the greatest apps. I paid him over 22 million for the app he developed, and he learned it from nothing to take time he could produce an app. You know, how many TVs want apps? How many businesses want apps currently? Yeah, in Africa, we are still in need of those IT people, but you can learn coding online. So a 20-year-old should learn a skill that can help him start a business, or it can help him to earn some income that he can later maybe get some capital. That advice I would give him. Self-education now is what makes you better in our generation than the previous generation that we've been in.
Yeah, that goes to the 20-year-old youth.
Yes.
We are no longer looking at capital to start a business. First of all, you first have to get the knowledge. You have to first self-educate yourself. There, engineer, I would like you to go back to the company, to your company.
Yes.
From where it started off. How did you start it? Because it would be a very good example. And I know in that story, we would at least try to get and learn something. You know, most of the people come to the podcast and they think that you are going to give them maybe something particular, that you go do this, go do that. But in most cases, I believe that in the stories you tell,
Yes.
it's where someone can borrow something and they apply. Yes, now you have a very good story of your company which you started. How did you start it? And right now, I know it's performing well. And most of us, when we come, we would like to get what you're getting from it, but we don't know what you went through, what transpired then, what happened.
Of course, starting a business is hard. Most people don't know, but me, of course, I'm an orphan. I lost my dad in P7. When we were going to do exams, he passed on. So I became the head of the family. So as early as almost 13 or 14 years, I had to look after the 5 siblings which I left. So we had a bunch of, we had matoke. So I'd go and sell matoke and come pay my school fees and everything. So I had to, I've paid for so many people school fees. And one of the things I learned in that time was to be a leader. Like, one, you don't have a parent, they tell you now you are the father, you are the elder, bro. So I had to look for school fees for my siblings to study. Then later I finished my O-level, then went on A-level. I remember in A-level, I gave a check to my mother. I wanted to join one of the good schools in Western Uganda. That was Standard College. And I knew that I could not afford the second term school fees. Now, Standard College had performed so well and had one of the best students in the country. I remember that guy. It's called Musiaba. So I told my mother that I'm going to sell matoke in December. Then I'm going to have an entry to this school, but I want to beat them and I be the best. They were giving a bursary, you know, so that I'll go in the first term, then second term I'll get the bursary. That was my calculation. Then third term I would sell matoke, then I'll be in A-level. Then he told me there's this guy who was the greatest word. I don't know. I'm going with that strategy. No. So when I went to school, of course, I did PCM and the first time I was the best with 22. And they were like, this new guy, how could he read? We are the best in the country and what? Everyone read. Of course, that is the time the bursary ended. My bursary stopped there, but the second term I was on bursary. Then third term I had to go and sell matoke and pay my school fees.
Wow. So
sometimes doing a business, you must be creative and know exactly what you want. So I finished my A-level and I did well. I went to Chambogo, did my diploma. Still, I would sell matoke and do what. Now, when I finished the diploma, my mother was like, I cannot pay for you anymore, go to the field. So I went with my diploma in architecture and started working slowly. As I was earning, I remember I was earning 800K per month. That was my first time. But at campus, later, when I wanted to upgrade to do civil engineering in Chambogo, and I had no one who could sponsor me, so I decided to sponsor myself. It's where actually the instinct of business started coming in. I told my mother, I'm going to educate myself. If you know Chambogo University degree, how hard it is to pay for it. I paid it for myself. That's how tough I am. From year 1 up to year 4. Wow. So I was in Chambogo for 6 years. The first 2 years were actually for diploma. Then we went for the other 4 years for the degree. Then the COVID came in. I went for another extra year. So they became 7. But I paid for my degree at Chambogo. And in year 3, I had bought my first car in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, my first car was...
third year.
Yeah, third year. I bought in Sun Wing Road. I remember it, UAR.
Wow. That's called, yeah.
So now, what happens is this. Now, when I was being employed, I remember I was a manager at installing national water in Nansana. And the company I was working in, they dreaded to pay. When they dreaded to pay, they chased me.
Yes.
When they chased me now, I was at my apartment. I was renting in Chirinya. So there's no way I could survive. I was tired of being employed. So now I sat in the room. I did what I've told you for a 20 year. I went on YouTube and started researching how to start your own company. I remember I was left with only 400K, and that company had befriended the lawyer. And I got all that 400K. I remember I didn't even have transport take me back, and I gave to that lawyer and said, help me register a company. That's how I registered Build Construction Consultants. And I lost all the money I had. My capital was 400 and it went into registration only. So I was left with 1K, I got a taxi, went back to my room. Now, I sat in the room. I was like, I'm going to read every book about starting business and starting a company. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to do anything. I had bought a laptop, which was even stolen when I was in Banda. Banda boys. So now I was left with a friend of mine had a laptop, and I told him, let me put a software we use in design. It's the capture I had. I remember that Asus. It is very old. Even I still have it in an office. I protect it. It is the first one from my friend. So I started the company, Build, in 2006.
With zero shillings.
I was left with 400K, and I used it for registration. And the laptop was stolen when I was leaving Banda. So I had to get a friend to help me with the laptop.
So which means you had zero
Actually, I was
shillings.
in negative.
You were in negatives.
I didn't have anything.
The only capital you had was knowledge.
To knowledge and to borrow a laptop.
Yeah.
So now the problem is I knew how to draw plans. I'd done that, but I didn't know anything to start my own organization. But I went online. It is where I started reading books. I read all books you might think of. Think and Grow Rich. What? How to start a business. $100 business dollar startup. Like so many books. Because one, I didn't have anything to do. Like apart from the laptop and sleeping. And I remember telling my friend, I'm going to sleep on this floor. Because I refused to sleep on a bed. Then the first thing I did in that time, those who have been in Alliance Emotional Global, it was trending, AIM Global. I was one of the people who went in AIM Global.
Network marketing.
I was looking for how to survive. So in network marketing, we learned a lot of things. One of the things I learned there, they emphasized reading books. We used to go for trainings. You go in Haruna Towers. I was under that guy, Mohoz. The guy was so good. Sometimes you need a mentor. That guy, he taught us how to put on coats. Like every time they used to teach us pretend as though you are rich. I remember closing someone. They taught us how to close people. Like you do, they would tell you fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
So you'd be very poor, but you put on a coat and you go to Haruna Towers. Remember, I did a diploma in architecture, but I'm looking for opportunities. So there they used to teach us marketing, closing, and everything. Now later, I learned them. I remember I used to be, much as I was young, I used to be the one who closed people who would come in Sundays evening. Because the seniors were not there. So would be the people present those drugs, you see what, then after you stand up in your suit and your coat and you tell him, if you cannot sign today, this opportunity will not be there. Then later when I started the business, it was too tough for Ugandans. Ugandans were not picking, sometimes one was not coming. So I decided to leave network marketing. But one of the stories in network marketing, I can assure you, I ever made someone sell a bed. I told this guru, I was putting on a koti and I was like, this guy, you man, this is an opportunity to change your life. You are sleeping on a bed and you're watching a TV, you are very poor. And you're looking for money to buy a package of 700,000. Sell your bed, sell your TV, and come and enter the system. The guy called me the next day that the bed is gone and the TV. He showed me the money. I crossed that and I got my 150,000. Wow. Now, the guy entered the system. Now, entering the system of network marketing, why it was hard, you would train someone who didn't know how to do marketing to be a marketeer and market for AIM Global Drugs. So I saw that business was hard because everyone had to go through a process of training and what. So me, I quit network marketing and I said, let me go back with the skills I'd acquired to my engineering of marketing. So I was one of the first people to build a Facebook page that markets plans those days. Because even now we have a lot of followers on Facebook, if you can check it. So I started marketing from zero using Facebook. I got my first client. I remember he paid me $1,000. That's 3.6 million. Wow. He was a doctor working outside. He saw my work. He sent the wife at office. So what I did, I had an apartment, and that apartment, I made it into two. The sitting room became an office. Then the bedroom, I had a small mattress. I would keep it in a wardrobe so that if someone comes to check behind, you don't see what is happening. So at night it would become a bed. The second, but I made my sofas and they became an office. So that's how I got started from zero. After network marketing, closing some few people, I gathered some little money, still went in business, in network marketing because it was hard for me. Then I went back and now I started using those skills. Then I did my first Facebook page. I used to put on some ads. Then I started getting clients online. Now I started building my company. So that's how I got started from zero to building those initial foundations of the company.
Starting the company.
Yes.
Wow. From network marketing.
Yes.
Yeah. So you went in for network marketing where you learned the skill of marketing
and closing
specifically. Yes. So from there, we want to know, after you getting the knowledge and the skill of marketing, what extra things did you do to push the brand? Because now we are talking of a brand and as a business.
Now, what happened is, that is 2017. The whole year I was doing network marketing and now applying some skills to my architecture design and that. Then 2018, I quit network marketing and concentrated on my company. Remember, I registered it in 2016. So the whole of 2017, I was in network marketing, learning and trying to do a business. Like every person, you hear those quick things that make money and run into them. So in 2018,
that's common to every youth.
To every youth. In 2018, I concentrated on my company. I remember the first business I got was around 3 million for designing plans. Now I started expanding a bit. I would say design and build. I got my first project of construction in 2018, which I bought my car. Now what happened is I had a consultancy that came in. That is Sarsen Plaza. That structure, it is 5 levels. It is around, it is near, as you are going to, which place here? Makere Kavuri. If you see that structure of Sarsen Plaza, it's me who did the consultants free. And I remember the client paid me 18 million. for that structure to do design, design and supervision for the entire structure. That was 2018. In the same year, I had the house in Mubuto, which I was doing finishes, and the client gave me, I remember it was 36 million. So when I concentrated on my business to look for my work, that year alone, I got 18 plus, that was 54 million. And I could afford a car. So I bought my first car and I was paying myself school fees at campus because I was studying. I entered campus in 2016. So I was doing all these things to look for school fees. So that year I got 54 million from 2 projects. And I bought my Nissan. I bought it, 4 million. It was a UAR. That's why sometimes I used to push it.
Wow, 4 million.
Yes, 4 million. Because I did their work, delivered.
Yeah.
They were happy. Then I had to also get some car. So I bought my first car in 2018.
Yeah. 4 million car. Just
4 million car.
just
Sometimes
imagine.
I used to push it.
Yeah.
I know every part of the car because
You became a mechanic.
I became a mechanic. You can
Wow.
imagine the 4 million car. Eh?
Wow.
It was a terrible one, but I wanted to be in a car.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one of ways I built the business after concentrating.
What was the foundation or what was the key tool in the development of the business? Because someone out there would want to know what should he or her focus on most when you're starting up a business.
If you're starting a business, there's a process I believe you have to go in or you go through. One, it's idea generation, like I'd said before. After you've done idea generation, you get something you're passionate about. Then that thing, it is can be monetized and it's solving a societal problem. Those are the 3 things you see on. Then after that, you have to see how can I generate capital and also positioning of the business. Because these 2 should go together. You have to know that you are now going to generate capital. Now, people think capital is money. It's not true. Capital is not money. Capital is a lot of things. There's intellectual capital. I could be good on something. That time I was good at design. Now I went into network marketing. I became good at marketing and sales. Now I got more intellectual knowledge. Then you could have resources. You want to start a business of goat farming, you have land at your home. That's a resource. That's what we call a resource capital. Then you could have what you call partnership. I have very many stories of how I made my 100 million, 0 to 100. The next business which I did and I got my first 100 million, I partnered with someone who had the money. I got an idea, showed him how we're going to solve it. I partnered with my friend. Then we went for selling the company and we sold it 200 million and I remained with 30%. So we had our 100 million cash there. So you could do partnerships after you have learned those ones. So there's a lot you can do when you're starting a business. But starting with me, I usually see what do I know about that business and what skills do I have. If I have got good skills on that business, I'm at advantage with someone not having skills on that business. So like me doing a construction business, it was very easier because I had got some little skills from campus, from somewhere, from the workplace I had gone. So I had to build on those to add skills of marketing, leadership, and building my business.
Yes. Here comes someone who has everything.
Yes.
He's ready. He has the knowledge. He has gotten the capital. But now this person, you've talked of the position. Now this person thinks and believes that if you don't have a business in the central business area, maybe the city or town, you're not going to make money. And that has made very many people fail with businesses. They don't know how to manage businesses that are not located in the central area or in the towns. What advice would you give to such a person? Because I know your company is not located in the central, it's not in the town or the city. How have you managed now to position your business whereby every person can see the business, every person knows about the business? How have you done that?
If you're starting the business from idea generation, now you go to capital raising and positioning, things have changed. You see, COVID came and there's a trend that changed. You no longer need to be in a city center to do business. You need to work very hard to be visible. You know, so like for example, nowadays you have a business. You have to look for one of the accelerators that grows the business, and one of the accelerators is technology. How are you going to be present online? It's easier to be where am I located. If you are solving a problem, I usually tell people, and even I usually tell this to people at office, that even if I shifted my office to Guru, I would have calls from Kampala looking for my quality. Because I know I provide high value for a substandard or an affordable price. You know, we shall talk about pricing. You know, if you could solve a problem and you give high value, you find the client benefits more, and you give prices that people can afford, then you do marketing. You have a technological accelerator. You have got online presence, meaning that people can see you. Like recently, you saw we got a client who's working in one of the high profiles that even in person I cannot reach that person, but we got him through our online website where we sell plans. This guy works with the parliament. When we are going to his office, everywhere is protected. But the guy calls us and says, I need your service here. And he was able to pay us over $600, you know. But what we did as a company is to make sure that we are really present online without our positioning. For us, an office, we sit as a home where we go and assemble and deliver value for people. So I would advise that person that as you're looking for positioning of your business, first know what type of business are you doing. Is it a product business? Is it a service business? Or it is an experience business? You know? And assuming you are doing a massage, I don't think you would put it in an open area. You know? It has to go somewhere where there are safety of people. They don't want to be seen. That's an experience business. People want to feel they are safe, you know? Assuming you are doing maybe, you are doing which business? Food business. You cannot put it in a forest because you market online and what, you know? It has to be where people can easily access it because you are selling food for people to eat. So you must know the business you are doing and know how you can easily position it so that you have a fair positioning for your growth of the business. So, and it changes with a business that someone is going to start, whether it is a product business or it is a service business or it is an experience business. So what you are giving the society also matters in that.
Now, someone is confused. What is an experience business and what is a service business?
Service business, there are so many. You find that either you're doing a product or you're doing a service or they are interchanged. But you find sometimes business which involve experience, you must know them. I'll give you an example. If you're doing a massage, it's a service business.
Yes.
But for a client to be satisfied, you ask him what is his experience.
Yeah.
What has he felt about it? You know?
Does he feel
does he feel okay? Like a massage, you ask yourself, what have they worked on him? What service have they given him? It's an experience. You know? You have gone for maybe a swimming. Those businesses which are emotional. You know? They are service businesses, but you end up going to the raw edge that the client gets an experience from that. So you have to focus on it to make sure that if you want to have your clients coming back, they really have the greatest experience that day. That's why those businesses are funny or they're a bit hard. If clients don't have the best experiences, they don't come back. You know? Clubs, those type of businesses. That's why when they are starting, their curves are usually growing this. When people stop having those experiences they used to find there, they quit. But it starts as a service business. Initially, the entry point is a service business, but the operational point, it becomes an experience business. You understand? Then a product business, it is entirely on a product. You understand? So that is why we usually I usually personally, in my philosophy, I usually want to see. I've done a product business or I've done a service business, but as I go on, as I build my business, does it cover the experience of people? So that I work on that, so that every person who comes, he feels your brand and he feels that improvement.
I have a friend of mine who asked me a question one time, and he was like, he was passionate about very many things and he wanted to start a business, and he was also confused. In his head, he had two businesses. One was product based, another one was service based. And he asked me, how do I choose which business to do? Because I'm passionate about both of these businesses.
In case you have got, and this happens a lot with most of us when we're starting any business, you got a lot of ideas and you don't know which one to go for. And that is why sometimes I go back to that Venn diagram, that I want something which I'm more passionate about.
Yes.
Then I see if it can be monetized, and I look for the problem it is sorting in the society, you know, so that I know what exactly I am sorting in the society. So one thing I would advise that friend of yours is, as you have a lot of ideas that you want to execute and they are confusing you, you can have a thought about the end in mind. How do you want to see your life end? You first go ahead of your life currently and you say, if I'm leaving Earth, if I'm done with whatever I'm supposed to do, what exactly would I want my life to be like at the end of the day?
Yes.
You know, Henry Covey explains it in his book. There's one of the characteristics of millionaires or great people. They go ahead and they see their end in mind. If you know how your life will end, it will give you one of the hardest questions that helps you to discover your purpose when you're alive. So somewhere, somehow, your business that you are going to do should tally with the purpose of your life. Discovering what you want to do in life is the hardest thing. Many people actually are fighting with many ideas because they don't know what they want to be in life. But when you take that photo, it usually gives this explanation. Imagine you're in a coffin, you're going to be buried, and you're hearing people giving speeches. What speeches would you want people to give about you? Would you want people to say that you used to be in clubs, used to be with women, you know? Or would you want people to say you used to be an author, you helped so many people, you know?
Yeah.
So that speech usually says, if you are the guy in the coffin and you listen to what people are talking about you, and there's something you want people to talk about you, design your life now and live it forward, you know? So it means that now you can know your passion, discover your purpose, and look for the business that flows there, but when it is solving the society problem, and when you can easily monetize.
Yeah. For those of you who are interested, or someone who's looking for construction materials, house plans, please check on www.acbuildug.com. You'll get the best quality materials, the best plans online. You go check, you'll get whatever you want. Engineer, there is a problem with most of us, the youth. You've talked of we don't know what we want. But most of us, the youth, I'll basically say the youth because it is common with the youth. We always want to do businesses to impress other people. How do you overcome that? Because most of us want to, you want to make a business. The next day you want to drive a Lamborghini or a GLE. You park it there. Then before we had these Achilles vehicles. Someone used to move with that car key.
Yes.
So most of us want to do businesses to impress other people. How can we overcome that?
If you're going to do business, especially as the youth, I usually advise them, including myself, that business is a long-term game, especially here in Africa. You can do a business and it runs for a short period of time and you get back to poverty. Why? If you don't see that long time longevity of the business.
Yes.
That's why if you start business, I would advise them that my focus would be how can I transfer the wealth and the knowledge I've gathered in my life to the next generation. You know, one of the things that have helped me to build my wealth is meeting mentors. You know, after 2018, I started working for rich people. Of course, one of the things was if I can get people who are better than me, they would give me big businesses and I would listen to them and that. So if you're a youth, get mentors. I've got one of my mentors and this guy is a billionaire. He's the owner of Exodus Schools, Wakiso, if you have heard of them. The director. He's one of my friends. I'm his consultant and we usually talk. And one of the things he taught me is that if I'm going to do a business that runs for a long period of time, me as the owner of the business, I have to learn to be frugal, not spending anyhow. Because you are going to train your workers that, you know, you are going to train people around you that whenever you get money, you have to show off. And the trend is going to go into the business system. We are going to later say that for you to build a business and grows beyond 100K to 1 million, to make your first 3.6 billion Uganda shillings, you need systems. You cannot do it yourself. But now if you're a person who shows off, you're going to have workers of the same caliber and you're going to find a lot of things going wrong in your business because of the owner.
Yes.
So that guy is a billionaire. I can assure you that guy was driving a fielder.
Wow.
And he's a billionaire. The guy had 3 schools. He's one of the people I've seen who can really raise $1 billion with his. But he drives a fielder. And he told him the trade he's doing is that he wants to show his workers that what you need is a car that picks you from point A to point B. But he can afford any car. He can afford any car.
Yeah.
So he used to tell me that tomorrow, as you're building this, you're building it for the next generation. It's not all about training that trend. So I would advise those youths that if you're starting a business, you have to challenge your brain. This is a fight in your brain to show off. It's what you call stealth wealth. You can be humble and still be rich. Doesn't. If you see rich people, they don't change clothes, they don't change watches, they don't change even phones, you know, because there's nothing they want to prove to the world. If you're a baby rich person, you want to prove to the world that you have money. And that's the problem. But that is usually the entry point. But as you grow on and you find the wealth, you there's nothing to show. You really have to be humble. Stay humble.
Yeah, you really need to be humble.
Yes.
Yeah, you really need to be humble. Yeah. Engineer, I remember one time you told me something which I didn't really understand well, but it really hit my mind. You told me that if you are in a group of people and you have friends, let me say friends, and whatever you're doing, your friends can't pay for it. What you're doing is wrong. What did you mean by that? Because it hit my mind and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this and someone else may need it. I really didn't get it.
When we are starting businesses, at least I've done a lot of them, starting even from bricklaying. At Campus Brother, I was doing bricklaying. I bought some Chirombe and Mkono of the businesses I invested in. The first client in network marketing, when we are doing AIM Global, they used to tell us, is your friend and your relative. So if you're doing any business and you find that one of the people around you cannot even buy your product, then somehow, either your product is for a certain class of people who are not around, or maybe it is not a viable product. You know. But if the only way you can test it easily, if I have a product and people around me can buy it, it means it is easier for me to scale it for even other people. The first clients I had were people I started with. Because me, I was doing plans for them, they are doing engineering. So they would come for me to do for them plans. So what I was telling you when I told you that if you're doing any business, the first clients, make sure people within your circles can approve the product. You know, remember, those people understand you, see you. Sometimes they don't like you, but if you're doing the right thing, they will come for it. It's not necessarily someone who buys from you likes you, no. But if I'm the person solving your problem, you'll go to the doctor for a surgery. Not because you like the doctor, but because you want the solution, which is surgery. So that's what I was telling you, that if you're doing a business, it would be good if some of the people around you could also be your clients. Then that one already tells you that you can scale it easily to other people. It is easier to test if the business is of that caliber.
Already your friends have tested the product.
Yes.
And they know that, it can work.
It can work. Yeah, something like that.
So it's the easiest way of you knowing if you're doing something that is wrong, a wrong business.
Not necessarily that it is you know that it is a wrong business, but it could be a shortcut for you to know that you're doing the right business. Because assuming you are selling cars and your friends cannot afford them.
Wow.
You know?
So it could help you to
if you are doing
position yourself
earlier.
Yeah.
You know, this other friend of ours, or the client we had, and gave us an idea that businesses that make billionaires and millionaires don't sell expensive things, especially here in Africa. And he gave an example of Mukwano, and he asked the question, what product of Mukwano do you know that exceeds 100,000? That's around $30. And we asked ourselves and found there's no product. But every day, average in Uganda, in each home, there's a product of Mukwano. It could be a soap, it could be cooking oil, it could be toothpaste, it could be a bucket, it could be a basin. Then he was asking, do you think Mukwano can fail to have a sale a day? No. Why? That in his business products, even his friends, you cannot leave home without using a basin. It is a Mukwano product. So this guy understood the power of having affordable small products that are used on the daily basis of people. So that is how I would see business to me. If I could have a product that is raw end and can be distributed over 1 million people, you can even tell how much he earns per day.
I remember when I just finished school, I was this person who was so energetic to become a billionaire. I had this energy, But along the way, I reached somewhere and I felt like things are not easy here in Uganda. Because the business I was looking at, it was this one business whereby it was for specific people.
Yes.
And particularly, we had, when I was reading about it, making research about it, it had around a market share of around 20 billion US dollars. And that is maybe Africa. It was Africa-wide. It has 20 billion. And I looked at it. My dream of becoming a billionaire wouldn't be possible with that. So I am thinking and I'm wondering, what could I do if at all I want to reach to that first class or the 1% of the economy? What do they do? What do you people, you know that for us we don't know about businesses and about what to do?
I think this is one of the best questions. The way I would approach your question is, many people don't make research. Now, because we have grown up in poverty, especially in Africa, we usually see things based on where we are, our families, and what we are. The question you're asking is the same question I've made research about and known, because at least I've worked with one of the people we call a billionaire in Uganda, and I've discovered it is very hard to be a billionaire in Uganda or East Africa. The reason is very simple. If you make research, it is because of the GDP of our countries. The GDP of Uganda, as I talk now, 2022, is around 52 US dollars million, The GDP of Kenya is almost twice that of Uganda. It's around 107 million dollars. The GDP of Tanzania is around 77 the GDP of Rwanda is around 14 to 15. You know, I'm talking about GDP of East African countries where we are now. Now you can imagine you want to push a business in those East African countries to be a billionaire. It's not easy. And it looks how it can move to impossible, which is true. Because of the location of your idea.
Yes.
You cannot be greater than the GDP of the economy you are in. You know, if you see the first line of billionaires we have in East Africa, and you can study about them. If you can see, like in Tanzania, we have Mo, who is a billionaire, but he's in third generation of their businesses. What does he do? He's into manufacturing and distribution all over East Africa. That's what makes him a billionaire. You know, if you see in Uganda, we have a billionaire who is always staggering his on and off. That is Dul Pereira. But see what he does. He's into high top notch of real estate and hospitality. He holds actually the top notch of the industry. So you discover that for you to be a billionaire in Africa, there's an intersection of business you make. The moment you exceed 100 million net worth in Africa, you start intersecting directly with the government. That's why you find that these people who are billionaires in Africa sometimes are not even recognized. Why? Their businesses intersect with the government. You find the government is giving this person money to invest here. There's a conference, the government has given him money, go and build and do this. Why? The economy is so small that you find you're already interacting with the businesses of the government. You find that most people in Africa, you saw this issue of Dangote. Still, it was an intersection of government, you know, because our economies are a bit small. So if you are starting a business in Africa and you want to scale to $1 billion, you should know the state of your country and the GDP and what are the billionaires in that country doing and what can you do. That's why people like Elon Musk saw that his vision could not come in South Africa. So when he goes to America, you know the GDP of America, it is over 20,000 billions, over. But here we are talking of 50, only 50. So
it's like 0 point
something. You have to of the other.
Yes.
You know? The state of the GDP of California alone might find even it's bigger than
none of Uganda.
It is bigger. California alone, it could be bigger than the whole of East Africa, you know?
Wow.
So you find that if you are having a dream to be a billionaire, especially in maybe in UGX, that is very simple. But a billionaire in the US dollars in our country, there's a lot of things you have to do and you have to take time. It is why, like in Uganda, we know all people have a net worth over 1 million, over 100 million. You know?
US dollars.
US dollars. Yes. We know them. You can name them, and they're usually around 10. You can know Vitature, you know Ham, you know this, you know Deal, of course, he was region number 1. You can know
the other one of Steel.
For Steel, you know. Then we can Shumuk, yeah.
Yes.
They're 10. But we're 55 million people. I'm talking over $100 million.
Yeah.
Many rich people we have in Uganda are stuck between $1 million, that is 3.6 billion, to actually 99. They are there and they are rich. They are rich. You know, you can easily raise $1 billion or $1 million a year, but they are rich. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you research on the global scale, you find that being a billionaire in Africa is a bit hard. That's why they are named. You can name them. You can know that of Zimbabwe. You can know that of Nigeria. You can know that South Africa is the next that produces. Egypt, then followed by Kenya, Tanzania. We know specific people who are billionaires. But other people, you find they are more political oriented when their businesses interject or the source of income comes from the GDP of the government directly and they're not recognized of that. So that is why it is hard to do businesses. But from my knowledge, if you want to be a billionaire, you have to get an idea, execute it, and you find it is liked on the global scale. You don't limit yourself on one country's maybe market or what. If you could do one product or service, or you'd come up with some problem solving idea and you sell it over the entire globe, or you can give it to 1 billion people. That is one of the 7 billion we have, 8 there now. Then you can easily be a billionaire. That's why it is easier to be a billionaire in China and America and India than it is to be a billionaire in East Africa.
Why?
The GDP of those countries, the population of those countries, the purchasing power of those countries are higher than us here in East Africa. That's why here we have very few billionaires. And most of them are in either top-notch real estate and hospitality and manufacturing.
So in simple terms, if I want to become a billionaire in dollars, I have to do everything.
You have to scale to the world level. You have to look for a product that you can sell the whole of Africa and other parts of the world. Not
centered here only in the
It
country.
would be hard. It would be like swallowing a horse.
So most of us are scared of starting. We are having these very many ideas and we don't know when to start. Someone has an idea and is organizing, preparing himself, and is like, this thing I'll do it maybe next year. Maybe the other time I'll do it the other time, and when the time comes, this person, fails to start because of uncertainties that What do you rich people do when you are having an idea? How do you execute it? Do you first take time? Do you start on it there and then? Or you take maybe some years when you're studying and understanding, getting deeper deeper knowledge of the business? What do you really do when you're executing your businesses or ideas?
What I've learned in my journey and from some of my mentors who are actually good millionaires, I've talked with many, I've worked with them on so many projects. When a person gets a viable product that is solving a problem, they execute immediately. Business is more of a risk. You go in and you have to fail. Actually, for them, they believe that every first time you try, you have to fail. Then you learn as you are growing. It's like a kid starting to move and crawl, and he falls down and he moves up.
Starts walking
and he moves up until he does mastery. He can run. Now he starts learning skills. That's how business is. There's no right time. If you get the idea and you can start, just get started and learn the process. You find this millionaire, he gets an idea today and tomorrow he just executes. He doesn't even give it a time to think about it. Then he fails, he learns as he's failing. Because you are going to fail as much as you can until you are able to manage and move progressively. So I believe that don't procrastinate or extend those timelines for starting. If you get an idea, you get started and you fail as early as possible. Time comes when you really would not like to fail. Stories of KFC are rare. Of Kentucky, whereby you are 67 and you start the business and it gets on, then you die and it goes. It's one in the whole world. I would prefer, if I'm in 20s, 30s, start earlier, fail as much as you can, so that you fail as you grow your business and establish it. So rich people, wealthy people who do businesses, when he gets a business and finds it is monetable, it is solving a certain problem, he usually executes immediately. There and then.
No waiting.
No waiting. Because every day you get a new idea. So, but you have to filter it and you see if it is solving a certain problem, then execute it, then you start learning as you're executing. That is what usually happens.
If you've talked of having ideas every day, most of us have blurred vision of what we want our businesses to look like in the future, whereby today you're having one idea, then the next day you will get another one, you leave this one, you go to another one. Does that work? Because you may find that I've been doing something that has been making money, then I see something else that is making more money, I jump from this, I go to the other one, then the other time I see something else that is making money. What do you think about that? Do we do it? Should we continue with it? Because most of us, it's what we are doing. Na ndaba mu January kano katambula. I go for that. I see the other month, this one is the one that is trending. I go for that. What do you think about that? Is it okay for me to do it, or it is something that I shouldn't do if I want to have a business that is really, really great?
When you find someone doing such, those people, they're in business initially, from what I've seen, from those friends of mine and other people, they are doing business to get money. They are not building systems. If you're building a business from your zero to your first 100 million, that's a 360 million net worth. You're going to be using skills to gather money. Like that's what you'll be doing. You try this. When it doesn't work, try this. It's what I did. You do this, you try this, you know. If this is not working, the katambla, you get another one, you know. What you are fighting is a money problem, you know. But the moment you hit 100K, and I've worked and hit that, you stabilize.
But I believe that for you, by the time you did it, you had this vision because by then you had already registered your company. So you were doing all that to grow your company.
In the journey, whenever you have some hardships, that's how I went into border business. That's how I went into mobile money business. That's how I went into brick making business, you know. I had to go to training businesses. I had a company, but I had to go to other businesses to get money.
To support.
Like, to support the real vision. You know? That's why I was like, if you discover your purpose, it becomes clear. Now, when you reach a level and now you have an established business, there's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Yes.
Now you focus on that first. It's like a tree, you build that, a trunk now. You cannot have very many branches. Of course, all the businesses I had would make me some money and they would fail later. Why? I would not be present. I had border stages in Zana, where, you know, had chapati, had what, all those businesses that can bring in money. But now when you hit 100K, that's 360 million, then you start establishing yourself onto one thing. It's where now you reject another business idea. I can no longer do any business. Now I can afford to do any business I want, but now I choose which one can scale highly. You know? Yes. So when I hit that, now I've invested in land, I've got what I can afford any car I want, you know, I'm now purchasing my home where I can be. So I cease to go into any business you call me for. Up to now, people give you business ideas, but they're theirs. I concentrate on scaling my company. That's why you had to now build hardware. We scale our company. We do the card center. We increase our online visibility.
Yes.
We have our online platform where we sell plans. We are the first in Uganda, you know. Now we improve on our construction and consultants. We now target high profile people. Now we deliver that. Because now I can no longer diverge from my original intent of the company to do another small business. So that's what happens. If someone is still jumping, you can tell that they are still looking for money and they have money problems. You know, you are still starting a business, you want some money, you jump into this. But when you get established, then you focus on that organization to grow it. Then if I'm going to scale to other business, I go to a business which is scalable that will contribute to this. Because at the end of the day, you are looking at making a group of companies to survive in the economy. You don't want to be in one business and when it is hit, you go back to zero. Like any other rich person does. He does a group of companies. And that is how you can survive in Africa.
And that's how you can easily become a billionaire.
And that is how one way of being a billionaire.
Wow.
So that's the journey of doing that.
Wow. This is a question that is asked by very many people. Most of these are professions others are just employees. That when I get my first money, like when you gather your first, let me say 100 million, if you've been working under someone or if you've been working for a company, and some others right now they are in Dubai, others are in Canada, they're working in the diaspora. What should you do first? A business or you should build a house? Because we have it traditionally that when you get money, you should build a house.
Yes.
That's what they tell us. When you get money, mwana wange genda ogula akataka genda ozimbe nyumba. But currently right now in the year 2025, is that still applicable? When I get money, should I buy land and build? Or I should start a business? What should come first?
That question is actually tricky and it is variant. Because now I usually answer it based on what is the source of money. Because getting 100 million is not easy, as you might talk about it. If it is a professional earning 1 million, it will take him 10 years to gather 100 million without eating any coin. If he's earning 10 million per month, who are rare or none in Africa, that is
take almost a year.
A full year.
Yeah,
you know?
10 months. Yeah.
So what happens with professions, and what I've seen is most of them, these people work in bank and they earn a lot of money because they don't want to give chance of going back to zero. For them, they are forced to invest directly to a house. He gets his money and he buys a house or builds one and he feels he's comfortable, in that house. Then someone is in diaspora, he feels if he reaches home, he has to be in a good house. Maybe he gets a good job and he can get 100 million. He comes and invests in a house and do that. But in our generation, personally, I can tell you that the way I perceive life and business is I'm seeing something generational. Really, can I give my children a house and they maintain it? Can a house educate them if I died now? Can a house provide school fees for them? If I ask myself these questions as a business person and I get a capital of 100 million, I would look for something I put in that money that can generate and increase that. Because now with the skills I have, if I get 100 million, I can scale it to 1 billion. Because I have marketing skills, I've got sales skills, I've known how to build a company from 0 to 100. So if I get 100, it is easier to make it 1 billion. So personally, if I got the money, I would not invest in a house because it is a liability to me. It cannot pay for my children if I'm not around. And even if I left it for my wife, she would sell it because she can't even afford to put electricity there. Then I would get that money and look for which business or how can I scale to 1 billion. Then if I have an operating business, the little money I get from that business is what I would use maybe to put up the house. So I would not send that money there. Because what happens with most people who do that, they fear business and they fear the risk of losing their money. That's why most of the times they usually have a fixed skill that brings in that money. So they don't know how to start a business. They don't know how to manage the business. 100 million cannot do real estate. Even the house buyer, it cannot complete it. If you have 100 million, it is the first time you discover it's not a lot of money.
It is very little money.
It is very little money to put you in an average
House.
class. Because it becomes hard to finish even a house. Those who have tried, they stop at finishes. But if you could have maybe invested, if you have good at business, maybe you would scale and get a business which can do a house now. But personally, if I get the 100 million, this is personal. I don't want to tell someone what to do. I would risk it, do some business, scale it to 1 billion, then make sure it has cash flow. Then I use that cash flow to build the house. Then the other one remains.
So which means in simple terms, you're using the money.
Yes.
And you're scaling the money. The one which was 100. Now it is 200.
200.
And from the 200, now the 200 million can make you at least a month around maybe 2 million, even if it's 2 million. So a year, if you could use that 200, you could build a house easily.
the profits I get from the money is the one that I would use in construction.
Which is the one you could use in construction.
Actually, there it means you're now good at business.
Wow.
Keeping money is hard. Because if you are doing business, we see stages. There's getting capital, operations. Again, then you reach the company, you get profits. From the profits, now we see what we call scaling the business. Then after scaling, we see establishment, or you can exit it and sell it. Then from there, now you have a proper system that can always bring in cash flow. So if I'm doing construction like now, I know that my business can bring in some cash flow. Then when there's profit and I'm cleared, then I can transfer that profit into construction.
Yeah. One time a friend asked me a question, and he was like, man, I get the money, but I don't know where the money goes. He asked me a question and I failed to get the answer. And now, since we've gotten this chance, what could be the problem with this person? Because he's like, I get the money, but I don't know where the money goes. He does nothing with the money. He doesn't know how he spends it. He doesn't know where it goes. And yes, true. For what I know about him, he's not a disciplined person with money. So with that, I believe he was doing something wrong. I can't say it because I'm not that experienced, but I know for you, you are experienced and you know what we normally do and how we go wrong with money and how we go wrong with starting up businesses, because he was like, man, I get the money, but there's nothing I can do with it. I don't know where it goes. I failed to start a business just because he doesn't know where the money goes. What is the problem?
Your friend had a problem in budgeting. So when you get the money, if you're starting even when you're starting working, there's nothing you know about money. But now, as you grow your business, you start to know some specific things. For example, personally, I know how much I bring in. What is my income? You have been there when I'm quarreling with my accountants and everything. Tell me how much money we have made this month. Then I tell me the budget of the expenses. Then tell me where is the profit. Then tell me how did we handle the profits. We are in the meetings of accounting department. Even the workers are not there. So you must be knowing the income. How is the money coming through? How do you spend the money? And where does it go? By the time I leave home, I know what I'm going to spend on. Even if it is a fuel, I have got a fuel account per month. I should know whether I'm increasing fuel expenses this month. I should be knowing how much money I'm bringing in my business or in my accounts. Then how much money I'm investing and how much money that is going into real life. So most people have a problem in budgeting, and people feel bad, or they feel sometimes they ignore it. Like, let me just leave things will happen. Things won't happen. Growth and involvement and being wealthy is intentional. If you want to be wealthy, it is intentional. You have to set a target. You have to make more money. You have to budget for the money, and you have to learn how to protect it and learn how to invest it. Because most of the time, for example, you have seen me, if I want to do something big, I usually restrain myself. I don't go to a supermarket. If I'm going back home, I avoid being because every day, if you go to a supermarket, I've seen people who spend over 100K per day. The moment you go to the supermarket, you spend 100K. If you go there 20 times, that's 2 million a month. It's a lot of money. But do you know how many bags of cement are there? 60 consumed in the supermarket. So I usually restrain myself. What I do big purchases. I go either to Nakasero, purchase whatever they want, restrain for the entire week, then have that buffer cash, which is available. Then I immediately put it into either construction, or I put it into development or investment. So the friend of yours has what you call a budgeting problem. And it is common with very many people. Always understand your income budget for it properly, and make sure you save money to invest it. Don't save money to see it. Because if you save money without purpose, problem will sweep it away. I can tell you that I'm poor when I have 10 million on my account.
Wow.
Yes, because I have 10 million to do a foundation of my maybe structure, and this money is already saved for a purpose. So if you're asking me for money, I'm broke. And it is true. The money I have is not mine. It is for investment. It's already on an investment account. But there are few people who have that discipline. If you ask him, he has 10 million, he can even give you a loan of 5. So you have to have that discipline with money. And few people have the discipline with money. And there's a lot of little cash in our country because of our GDP and the borrowing of the government. So you find that there's a lot of assets, but few cash. That's why most people are operating on loans. So if you have got cash, you're the king once again.
If you have gotten cash, you are the king.
Yeah.
But most of us also have a problem with our financial thermostat. We don't know how to handle the money. There's a certain amount of money that when I hit a target of maybe 1 million, if I go beyond that, then I start wasting that money. Probably, what could be a solution to that? Someone who's having issues with his financial thermostat, he can't handle certain amounts of money. What could he do, basically?
With the financial thermostat, for those who don't know that, it is a level where you reach your maximum amount of money, and beyond that, you start spending the money. So if you want to improve your financial thermostat, one of the solutions, which I read from some of the books, you have to learn to set targets that are unachievable. For example, personally, one of my goals or one of my targets, which I set some 5 years ago, was like, I want to be a billionaire by 35 years. So whenever I could get money, I would feel that I've not reached on 1 billion. Of course, that is one for Uganda. That is very easier to make, not for USA. Like I explained to you, because now 1 billion UGX, it is just a net worth of $350, which is achievable in Africa. And people do it even in Uganda. I've got so many friends I've seen. It is easier to make 1 billion in Uganda than a billion in Africa for US dollars. So what you do, you have to set goals which are unachievable. They usually push you to that. You know that you want to make 1 billion, but you have not reached there. So if I get 10 million, I'm still poor based on my goal. You understand that? Now, people have problems with financial thermostat who spend money. They set small goals and hit it. You can imagine if I say this year I'm making 10 million and by March I have the 10, meaning that next year or the remaining parts of the year, I'm going to be spending the money. But now if I set a goal this year that I want to make 100 million and I make 10, 20, even if I made 80, some of us, even if you made 80, I'm still a failure. 80 million a year, I'm still a failure based on my goal. Because me, I'm a businessman, I'm not self-employed. Now, people are self-employed, it's a lot of money because you are used to 2 million per month and that. But people in business, in Chikubo, go there, people are making that money and they are quiet. Someone sets that this year I'm making 100 million and he makes it and he keeps quiet. Because the government will come for you, maybe taxation, but they usually keep quiet. But people make that money. So you set bigger and bigger goals so that you increase your thermostat, you don't spend, and you think you are rich, yet you are poor. Because there are people are making it in the country and they are quiet. That's why when you go off the CDB, you find posh houses, posh cars. Have you ever seen a new car coming and there's no one owning it in Uganda? Of course, the first people to own it, they are government people, followed by pastors, then businessmen. So you could be part of those categories.
Yes.
You be the business people who are enjoying the economies of scale. So you can do that by increasing the targets.
Why is it easier for someone who has started a business? I'll give an example like you. You've started a business and it is very easy for you now to start another business from zero. Yet you're finding someone out there who has never started a business, but this person fails to start a business, or whenever he starts something, it fails. What do you know that this other person won't know? It is similar to a question whereby the rich, it is very easy for someone who has been rich to become rich again, and someone who's poor will remain poor.
Yes.
You find someone is having, let me say, he's having a negative of over, 70 million, and it's very broke. Actually, he's in negatives. But the next day you find him, he has accumulated wealth that goes beyond even the negative he had. So what do you know that these other people don't know? Like me, what we don't know.
That answers a simple. That question has, I think, an easier answer, which I can tell you. One, I've got a philosophy of business. I have experience. Like in my journey to grow a business, like in my company now, to reach where it is. I remember the first time someone wanted to buy my company. That's 2017, 2018. He was giving me 100 million. But now, even if you give me $500 million, I can't give it to you. But I have learned a lot of things through failure, which you have not learned. You have been with me somewhere in decision making, and I tell you this one, and this one, let's not do. How I tell you this client won't pay, this client will pay. Let's handle this client with care, let's handle this. I've got a lot of expertise in my journey, which an initial starter does not have, because he is still guessing. Now, when I'm starting any business, I no longer guess. I know how to project. I know how to set goals. I know how to organize team. I'm now good at leadership. I know how to do marketing. I know how to do sales. I know how to close clients. I can handle high profile people. I know how to do partnerships. If I'm starting a bigger business, I told you of a business where we partnered with someone who's having more money and he was able to contribute 100 million. First, we contributed the idea and everything. Then we grew the business to over 300 million, So I've got experience, which the other starter does not have. So it becomes easier for me, one, to filter the business and to execute it and to make sure it is successful. So that is the difference between someone who has already built a business and become successful and a beginner. So actually, even the solution is very simple. You have to get a mentor. Remember also, after 2018, I had to get mentors. I had to talk to people who had done bigger things in their country, listen to them, and that is how I got the knowledge to build businesses.
So the shortcut is getting a mentor. Where could I get a mentor? It's a question also.
Mentors are everywhere now.
Where do I get a mentor?
Mentors are everywhere. Now you can get an online mentor, see someone like him, then listen to him. First get those ones, but later we usually advise, get someone who's been successful in the business you want to do. Look for the way you can reach that person by giving him some value. Then he mentors you. He tells you a way he has done. It is a shortcut to being successful in the business.
Yeah, for those of you who have been with us to this point, we've been discussing and understanding how you could start a business from 0 to 100, or from 0 to take-off stage with limited or with zero capital. And we've seen how you start a business with nothing, to getting skills, to getting knowledge about marketing, and to scaling your business. So I think that's enough for today. Please don't forget about ArcBuild Online Hardware, where you're going to get materials, where you're going to get house plans. And I think we are going to also add on, for those of you who are looking for land, we are going to put for you something in the future, in some time to come, so you don't get scammed by these brokers. They take you here and there. You need legit products. You need legit land. We are going to provide for you. Thank you very much. This is the Engineers Corner podcast, where we are doing finance, business, inspiration, and real estate plus construction. Thank you.